Not Lena, yeah. Not Lena's Trudy, Henry's Trudy. Oh, that's good. Joyce, could you, I think I cut enough for everybody.
Yes.
Just scrap, yeah, I just want, we're going to start with a little something different.
Okay. Just scrap paper.
You don't have that issue, Harlan.
Waiting for somebody to watch.
All right, grab a coffee and grab a chair. It's 25-2, we should start.
Well, I didn't. I never had.
What's that, love?
Can I just say an announcement?
Sure.
Before you start.
Yeah.
Everybody. Mostly the men, but the younger ones can help us. But it's food day time again tomorrow. So Shelley and I and a couple other ladies, we've got all our boxes ready. They're down in the basement, so we just love it if you could haul it upstairs for us.
60 and under.
60 and under. Oh, I like it, yeah.
That's right.
That table, that corner.
I feel it really coming on.
No.
Me and Jordy had our meeting with Chris just afterwards.
Oh, good, good.
Really good conversation.
Good. Encouraged.
There's no video though. Is there video?
Some issues.
Yes, there'll be video. Sorry?
Some issues.
Oh, really?
But the thing is, he was talking, and I said, based on what you were saying,
I am not 60.
you're working for your internship, waiting on your discernment of your direction.
Yes.
He kind of went, what do you mean? I said, well, didn't you get your review? And he said, no.
We sat down and went through it.
So, anyways, he
That
said,
was a very
me and Jordy
difficult.
were both like,
No, really?
so in his mind, he doesn't even, there's no recollection of that. But,
Well, maybe he didn't get a board review, but he got my review.
right,
But we edited it. Remember? We went
We
through
did,
it.
but like I said, the board didn't sit down with him. 'Cause
Right. No, but
we had a meeting.
I did, and then the school did.
Right.
So
There's some disconnect there with
yeah,
him.
yeah, more than one. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We've got a couple online, so welcome to you as well. All right, you have been to enough of these Jewish celebrations and events. You've been able to feel, what are some of the common denominators throughout all of them? Food. Thank you very much. Oops. I should pull this up. Singing and dancing. Yes, good.
Sayings, quotations.
Yeah, a lot of recitation, a lot of blessings. Blessed are you, O Lord God of the universe, who gives us. So lots of prayers. Doug?
Goes on for many days.
Goes on for many days. Good. Dancing. Good. Food, music, family, going to synagogue. So I think you've got the general tone of them, and I think you understand some of the key elements. Family, food, worship. So now what you have in front of you is a little piece of paper. As a table, your project now is to create a multi-day or single day, you can choose the length of time, celebration of the story of Esther. So, Esther's story, Queen Vashti is asked to come before her husband wearing only her crown. She refuses. The king gets mad. He chooses a new wife who happens to be the most beautiful woman in all the land, and that is Esther. Then it turns out that Haman through a variety of events, desires to kill Israel, creates a proclamation to say that all the Jews should be killed. Esther, we get the great line, for such a time as this, through the encouragement of Mordecai, her uncle, to go and speak to the king. She says, king says, what do you want? She says, I'll tell you tomorrow, I'll tell you tomorrow. She says, I want a banquet for you and Haman. And she sets up this ideal banquet. Then she drops the bomb on Haman, and the pillar or the gallows that was originally designed to kill Mordecai is now used to kill Haman. And so this is the deliverance of Israel from the hand of oppression. All right, that's the story. You now have to come up with a holiday, as you have already understood how holidays work. So go ahead, tables, take your time, enjoy your coffee, and in a few minutes, walk me through your version of the celebration of Esther, also known as Purim.
How's that spelled?
P-U-R-I-M, Purim. Eddie? Oh, I'm not sure, Dan. That's a good question. Well, you can look it up. You have your Bible in front of you. You have the book of Esther, so...
Yes, I think there is a time.
So, you're now the rabbi?
We're making a holiday based on anything?
No, on Esther. You've got to do it on the basis of Esther. So we're going to celebrate or commemorate or commiserate the story of Esther. What are you going to do? And you can't look up Purim, but you can look up Esther. Yeah. Also, I want you to note, I want you to include 2 elements that you would leave out and say we would never do.
We would never hang Haman.
Not even in effigy?
Not even what?
In effigy, like make a statue of him and hang him?
We're not serving.
Yeah, we're not going to serve pork.
Oh, that's the special thing.
Yeah, think about what food you'd include, what practices, what you might do at synagogue. What about candles? Would you do it have in darkness? Remember Feast of Booths? We built a shelter. So, really the sky's the limit what you can do.
I'm leaning heavy on Veggie Tales right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just picture everything in Veggie Tales from Esther.
All right.
Big thing.
We need a banquet.
If you're watching us online, you can do the same activity. Think about the Feast of Esther. What would you do? How would you celebrate it? What elements would you include? What elements would you make a part of your celebration? So this is a good activity for anybody who's watching as well. So grab your pencil and paper and dream up your own celebrations of the story of Esther.
Dress up, big dress up.
Fancy.
Like royalty dress up.
Fancy feast. That's a Catholic thing. The Catholic fancy feast.
Yeah. Lots of music.
Well, see, was it Esther's pretty wasted.
Yes, he got wasted. That's why.
And then we go
Maybe you want to keep that.
I think that would be good against. So things we wouldn't do on this holiday.
See, in the story of Esther in Veggie Tales, he asks Queen Vashti to make her a sandwich, and she refuses, and that's why she...
Wow, that is soft selling that story. Because he asks her to appear in just her crown.
Yeah, he just wanted a sandwich.
Yeah, he wanted more than a
I gotta watch that guy.
Yeah, that is soft peddling that story. By the way, this is the same king that's in the show The 300.
Yep.
That's the king who comes. That's Artaxerxes who comes back after he loses Greece and he comes back home despondent and he has a banquet. That's the historical context for this event. So he's trying to just encourage, or just, he's drowning his sorrows in partying.
We were just wondering, other Jewish holidays, they have the drink for, do you think, or not?
So what's that?
Like wine?
There's always, yeah, like you think about, there's usually, bless of you, who have a glass of wine and bread at every
So
meal.
that is kind of very,
Yeah, wine and bread would be with every meal.
okay, then we have.
That's part of the
What kind of food?
festive royal food.
Royal food. You could do Persian food, because it takes place in Persia.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but we'll say Persian food. Obviously
Goat?
wine and grapes and goat cheese or something. Goat cheese. I don't know.
And maybe they'd make something special to commemorate.
The hanging of Haman.
They might
Wait,
make, they might make a cookie in the shape of his hat. I did a little research. Well, no, they wouldn't back in the day. But how do you say the word no, how do you say it?
Ashkenazi.
Ashkenazi Jews do.
That's the European Jewry.
Oh, the ones that we see, they celebrate like that.
To commemorate his
Celebrate good time. Come on.
So how did they celebrate?
what I read, we just went on to commemorate different scenarios through that story.
Yeah, that king, that's him. So when he loses that battle in Greece, he comes home despondent. And in order to commiserate or to comfort himself, he throws a party. So that's the context. Yeah, it's his failure. And so what do you do when you're upset, right? You come home, you drink and have a party and call your wife to come before you in a crown.
But that's the story.
Well, so Queen Esther likes. Yep. So poppy seed cake, that's, yep, with her wine, with the wine. Poppy seed cake for dessert.
That's right.
Was royal icing.
There's opiates. There is. So if they ate enough.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what you care about.
That's why they.
All right, give me about another minute or so to plan your Purim festival.
How long do you think this will go on?
And how long do you want it to last for? Yeah, at least a couple of days. All right, and then pick a spokesman, spokesperson for your table. Yeah, you're yeah. Think of this like a party planner. That's a good description.
Party planner, I'm a party attender.
All right. I know this is a bit. I don't want you to feel rushed, but I just wanted to get a taste for it. All right, table number one. Say hi to the people and take it away. How was your Purim festival, Donna?
All right, well, we have it on good authority that this would have been a big fancy dress-up affair because they were celebrating the death of Haman and their freedom to live because they wanted to live. So we'd have lots of music, we'd have food and drink, and it'd probably go for 3 days, we figured. And also we
Have to dress royal.
they would have to dress kind of royally.
Oh,
because
fancy dress ball.
fancy dress ball too, because Esther, she would go through her preparation before she met the king, and so she went through her rituals and then her fancy dress she put on before him, and also they would celebrate the death of Haman. So somewhere in there that they would have to talk about that. Maybe they played Hangman or something.
Oh, you know, a big round of hangman.
Hangman Haman.
That's
Hanging
right.
Haman.
Is there an H?
That's right.
I'll take the letter A. Good. All right. Anything else this table want to add? Is it celebration or is it sad?
Oh, celebration. all the
Celebration.
way.
Okay. Good. All right. Table two.
Make the right one. Nicole Fritz do it.
Okay, our party is, our gathering is 3 days as well.
Oh, good.
And we're going to start with the ritual cleansing, cleaning,
Good. Some mikvah?
like a spa day,
Yeah. Yeah.
salt water treatments, and have a good skin. We'll provide fine clothing, exquisite linens and fabrics. We're going to put in a little synagogue just for the,
Yeah. Just one evening, a little hour.
food is fixed olives, something sweet, a protein, maybe a cow or. There will be music and dancing, and it will happen in a beautiful party tent.
Good. Good. What time of year, by the way?
We didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I forgot to ask that, but that's okay.
Maybe these guys.
All right, table 3.
Well, we were gonna say basically exactly the same thing they said, except it'd be a 4-day party.
Oh, you added a day.
It'd be a fancy feast, because it was all the linen and everything like that, to commemorate the supper that she had for the king and when she exposed him. There'd obviously be time of prayer and stuff like that, and so there'd be a big time of honoring Mordecai for not only the honor that he received afterwards, but also in the way that he saved the king ahead of time.
Yes, that's right.
That's it.
Good.
Lots of food, fancy feast, which is a kind of cat food.
Yeah, we're not
Nothing to
talking
do
about
with it. We wouldn't eat fancy feast. This is a fancy feast. Yeah.
All right, follow-up question, Tim. What would you make sure you left out? What wouldn't happen?
We wouldn't eat pork with that. No, we wouldn't kill pork.
No pork? No pork. Okay, good. Table 2, what would you make sure you didn't include? You'd say, no, we can't do that. Because remember, there's a lot of times you're not allowed to work, or you're not allowed to cook. There's restrictions within these holidays. So any laws? Are we gonna have to follow the laws of Shabbat during your holiday? Are we gonna set them aside?
Be very open, liberal.
So you're more reformed. Yeah. Okay. Anything goes.
Don't use that word.
Yeah. All right, table 3, anything you would exclusively leave out?
I want to say in here there was something about Haman getting like drunk at her supper or something.
Yes, there is alcohol in
Maybe
the
there'd
story.
be an abstinence from alcohol in recognition of no falling back on her couch.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. It's kind of funny because in many ways you're very close, and in many ways you are staggeringly far off. This is the most unusual holiday. This is the most liberal of all the holidays. This is a wild party. Purim is the wild party. I want to show you a few videos.
Can you?
This is Esther's also the only book that doesn't mention God. So this is the most secular of all holidays as well. We don't go to synagogue. All right, let me just show you a few videos, just to get you.
Purim, the Jewish Halloween, in that there's costumes and parties and in absolutely no other respect. Purim commemorates the victory of the Jews in Persia over their archenemy Haman, or in English, Haman, as told in the book of Esther. For synagogue-going Jews, celebrating Purim starts on the evening of the 14th of Adar with reading the Megillah, the scroll that tells the story of Esther. The reading is lively. In costumes, people boo and spin groggers every time the villain Haman's name is said. It's taught he was descended from Amalek, a people the Torah commanded Jews to remember to forget. So yelling over his name is a way to continue blotting Amalek out. Less traditionally, some communities will cheer for Vashti, whinny for horses, etc. Hearing the entire Megillah, every word, is the biggest commandment of Purim. There are shorter Purim spiels, comedic sketches, with actors, puppets, and of course, YouTube videos. In communities around the world, there are other traditions too. Visiting the tombs of Esther and Mordechai in Iran, dragging Haman effigies around in Yemen, and striking stones with Haman's name on them together in France. The 10 chapters of the Megillah go as follows. King Ahasuerus tells his wife Vashti, "You won't show yourself off for my friends? New wife, please." So all of the women are like, me? And King Ahasuerus says to one named Esther, yes, you. Now, Esther was Jewish, but her uncle Mordechai tells her, mum's the word. Meanwhile, in the palace, the king's advisor Haman says, I'm great, you should all bow to me. But Mordechai says, nah, a public act of bravery. So Haman says, I'm mad now, so I'm going to kill all the Jews. In protest, Mordechai wears a sack and stops eating, and other Jews follow. More public bravery. Perhaps you're noticing a theme? And Esther does something that could get her killed. She goes to King Ahasuerus and says, hey, men wants to kill me. So, King Ahasuerus says, let's kill him instead. My new advisor is Mordechai. Let's have a parade. And they do. The end. God isn't mentioned once in the story. Instead, it's a tale of political maneuvering, personal activism, and communal bravery against an anti-Semitic plot. The sages teach God's presence hides beneath the surface in all of the acts of bravery. These acts are centered around standing up for what's right, and what better way to commemorate that than by getting drunk, dressing up, and partying? It's an Ashkenazi tradition to dress up for Purim. Maybe in homage to the hidden miracles, maybe because Esther pretended to not be Jewish, or maybe thanks to 15th century Roman carnival customs. While the holiday of Purim goes back over 2,000 years, dressing up for Purim started right around then. In Israel, this has been adopted by the Sephardi community and is all around a big deal. There are family-friendly parades, huge street parties, and tons of carnival-themed club events. This holiday gets even the most secular folks out to celebrate. If you go to a synagogue for Purim, you have a good chance of running into goofy melodies used for the usual prayers, a costume contest, a preschool carnival, and piles of hamantashen. In Israel, they're called oznei Haman. They're three-cornered cookies. The best ones are stuffed with chocolate. This is a fact, not an opinion. Poppy seed ones can be pretty good, and if you're unlucky, you might get stuck with one of the fruit-filled ones. The three sides represent Haman's hat, or his ears, or our forefathers, or dice from the royal game of Ur. Who knows? There's all sorts of reasons given. Around the world, there are other special Purim foods, like Iraqi chickpea turnovers, and Moroccan sweet Purim bread with a hard-boiled egg inside it. Enough about food. There's also an obligation to drink. Until you can't tell the difference between the phrases, cursed is Haman and blessed is Mordechai. This is a holiday requirement that rabbis have debated for centuries, asking, really, are we really required to drink this much? With a short answer of, well, yeah, if you can. This is a good holiday. Like most Jewish holidays, there's also a big meal, Purim Seudah, and some extra prayers. Outside of eating, listening to the Megillah, and drinking, there's a few other mitzvot for Purim. On Purim Day, like all Jewish holidays, it starts at night and continues into the next day. You're supposed to give gifts to friends called Mishloach Manot, or Shalach Manos in Yiddish. This joy-spreading commandment requires you to give at least 2 portions of food to a friend, but more is always more fun. People deliver Mishloach Manot to their friends by hand and at parties, sometimes through synagogue fundraisers. Also, it's a mitzvah to make gifts of money to at least 2 needy people. This Purim tzedakah is called Matanot La'Evyonim. Purim literally translates to lots, as Haman cast lots to decide what day to destroy the Jewish people. Pur, notably, is also in the name Yom Kippur, and there are some neat connections between the two holidays. Purim can inspire. The Jewish people can unite across geography and time to see the hidden, to overcome adversity, and to celebrate. Chag Purim Sameach. Happy Purim.
So, a few what are the surprises?
Most of it.
What's that?
Most of it.
Most of it, yeah. It is a really wild holiday.
Is that where Halloween comes from?
Nope, not really,
The
no.
same.
Halloween, yeah, there are some
Yeah.
parallels here. Yep. All right, so I just wanted you to kind of see actually what happens in Israel.
We are not celebrating Halloween. My name is India, and we are going to celebrate the Jewish holiday of Purim here in Israel. Purim is a Jewish holiday that commemorates the saving of the Jewish people from an evil man named Haman. You see, thousands of years ago, Haman had a plan to try and kill all of the Jews. But his plan failed, and now this is how we celebrate today. Right now, we are in Israel. And because most of the population here is Jewish, Purim is a big deal here. Purim happens every year around the end of winter and beginning of spring. In Israel, if you walk down the streets just before Purim, you will see so many costume stores. One of the biggest Purim traditions is to dress up. This is because the famous Queen Esther, who helped save the Jewish people in the Purim story, had to hide the fact that she was Jewish. Today, some of the most popular costumes people wear are biblical characters like Abraham. Israelis love to go out to the streets and party in their costumes. Entire streets become filled.
And do you remember that evil man named Haman?
Well, there is a special way to remember his defeat.
With these.
Yes, these here are cookies, and they are called Hamantaschen. But in Israel, they say Oznei Haman. This means the ears of Haman in Hebrew. They are triangles because they represent the ears of the evil Haman. Inside of the cookie is usually filled with jelly or chocolate. One other really important tradition of Purim is to actually read the Purim story, which can be found in the Book of Esther, known as the Megillah. For thousands of years, Jews have been celebrating Purim. Purim is a celebration of victory over evil.
It is something we can all celebrate. So, if you want to celebrate Purim,
Dress up, eat some Hamantaschen cookies, and read the Book of Esther, which can be found in the Bible. This is how you celebrate Purim.
this is Inside Israel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
So, lots of dressing up.
So what time of year is that at?
It occurs March 13th and March 14th. So I just want to show you a couple more. This is called Purim Wild. I'm not going to show the whole thing. It's 20 minutes long.
Hello everybody, I'm Tommy G. Today we're celebrating the Jewish holiday of Purim, and it's wild. Let's go! Haman! I'm not circumcised.
All right, get up on the table.
Well, folks, Purim got crazy. Let's rewind a little bit to catch you up. Like most of my ideas, this started at the end. A
He goes on
gentleman
for-
named reached out and invited me to celebrate Purim.
His friend invites him. Okay, I just want to show you one more little clip, and then we'll move into our study. This is a great little video called Street Talk.
All right, we're gonna dance for Purim. Hey! Hey! What are you doing today? Can you say shout out to Side Talk?
Shout out to Side Talk.
Thank you. I'm gonna challenge myself to try and walk into one of these parties.
Okay.
You think I can do it?
No.
Bet. Where do you think the best party is around here?
Best party is down the street.
Oh, they're lit. I'm going in.
Trump 2020. Hey man, Trump 2020.
Happy Purim! Happy Purim! Happy Purim!
Okay, we're not going to do the Roy Conner. Sorry. You can tell me who controls my playlist at home. All right, what did you notice? Joni, would you hand those out? Any surprises? Yeah, the Trump. I didn't know they voted for Trump.
A surprising amount of drunkenness and debauchery.
It's so contrary to what we have seen over the last few weeks.
Yeah, the last few weeks, they're somber, they're liturgical, they're very, this is the wild one. Yeah, and it's 2 days.
And it's for all Jews, all Orthodox Jews.
And anybody. It's, if you're a Jew, this is your holiday. This is Purim. Yeah, big time on the streets. Rabbi, in this regards to this indulgence, Rabbi Elia Ketov writes, if one attains holiness through affliction and another attains holiness through indulgence, who is the greater of the two? It may be said that the one who attains holiness through indulgence is greater, for the attainment of holiness through indulgence requires an infinitely greater degree of striving and effort. In other words, if you can be holy while you're indulging, you've really been holy. If you're being holy while you're being, very sacred, easy to be holy at church, right? But if you're holy while you're out in the street, whole different story. So, One exception to this rule is Yom Kippur, where both halves, the Talmud says that every Shabbat Jewish holiday is half spiritual, half physical. We spend part of the day praying and learning the Torah, the spiritual, and the rest of the day eating a fine meal and resting, physical. Purim is completely physical. One exception to this rule is Yom Kippur, when both halves are spiritual. We spend the entire day praying in synagogue with no food, no marital relationships, and minimum rest. The other exception is Purim, where both halves are physical. We feast, make lots to drown out Haman's name, imbibe, and wear funny costumes. So it is the opposite of Yom Kippur. Purim, simply the word Purim means lots. And this is when Haman threw lots to determine what day to carry out his diabolical scheme. And so you can pronounce it a different way. So what are the observances or the mikvahs that we're supposed to do? Well, we have to read the entire book of Esther, which we're going to not do the whole thing, but I want you to hear it in a few minutes. Then there's the giving of, as she said, the giving of gifts to your friends and the poor. A lot of gift baskets. So, like, remember the old Sears catalog where you ordered your gift basket? Well, there are Purim baskets. So you'd order that for your neighbor. You go down to the deli, they put a basket. So you're supposed to give 2 baskets to your friends and 2 baskets to the needy. So the giving of gifts to the poor, and then lots of food. Now, interesting, this whole issue of drunkenness.
L'chaim! 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 What's with us Jews and the booze? Whether at a kiddush, a wedding, a bat mitzvah, but especially on Purim, no Jewish celebration will be complete without a bottle of the good old Powin number 10. Ew, ew, ew. Do we just have a tradition of being drunkards with particularly bad taste? Or is there something a little deeper? I think so. You know, one of the unique properties of wine is that unlike other foods that get worse over time, remember that sandwich you left in the office drawer over the long weekend? Ew. Wine only gets better with age. But if you take a look at the whole process, you'll see something even more extraordinary. You see, the grape itself is a mini wine-making factory. You see that powdery stuff on the skin? That's natural yeast. And when you squish grapes and the sugar mixes together with the yeast, it rots. But then, miraculously, something amazing happens. What looked like a process of decomposition and decay actually produced something incredible. On Purim, we remember when we, the Jewish people, were decaying. As the wicked Haman said, "The Jews are sleeping for the mitzvahs." Our heritage was literally slipping away before our very eyes. But somehow, from that lowly state, we came together, declaring our commitment to God and the mitzvahs, catapulting us to a state of unimaginable greatness. There are so many times in our lives where we have challenges. We feel rotten. It's at those times that we should turn to the bottle. Did he just say that? I mean, we should look to the bottle and realize that maybe this is the process that will help catapult us to our own personal greatness. L'chaim.
So
is it the wine's going to bring us to personal greatness?
The idea is that wine is a symbol of being crushed and ruined, turning into something great. All right, Chris. The playlist is taken over. Yeah, the idea of wine, because wine has yeast and sugar in it in itself, and when you mix the two together, it actually produces, it can't help but ferment. And so the idea is that we who look like we're being crushed, destroyed, and decayed actually produce something great. And so wine becomes, Haman tried to crush them, destroy them, and ruin them, but as a consequence, something great came out of it, their deliverance. So wine is actually a symbol of the story. And so that's the theology behind wine at Purim. There's a whole other video that I watched today that I'm not going to show you, but this whole rabbi answers the question, how drunk should you be allowed to get? It's like, so what do you mean by that? There's a very long discussion about the level of inebriation that is now allowed at Purim, but people obviously take it to great lengths. So, what are the, look at page 2, what are the traditions and customs? There is a spirit of liveliness and fun on Purim that is unparalleled on the Jewish calendar. If there was ever a day to let loose and just be Jewish, this is it. And I think you caught that by watching the videos. It is the wildest of holiday. It is also customary for children and adults to dress up in costumes. So, actually it's interesting, some of you grabbed the idea of costumes. And that's actually part of the story. And as Joni said, is this Halloween? It's not Halloween, but it's dressing up. So it's a big dress-up day. What's that?
A little bit similar to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. A traditional Purim food is those three-cornered pastries. We're not going to have those, but we are going to have some poppy seed food in a few minutes. And on the day before Purim, or on Thursday before when Purim is on Sunday, there is a fast commemorating Esther's fast. I think somebody mentioned that. And praying that God would save his people. The key element of Purim is you have to read the entire book of Esther in Hebrew. Now you think, how long is that going to take? Well, I'll show you.
איך יושב על כיסא מלכותו בבית המלכות נוכח פתח הבית ויהי חירות המלך אל אסתר המלכה עומדת בחצר נשא חן בעיניו ויושד המלך לאסתר את שרביט הזהב אשר בידו ותקרב אסתר ותיגע בראש השרביט ויאמר לה המלך מלך אסתר המלכה ומה בקשתך עד חצי המלכות ויינתן לך ותאמר אסתר אם על המלך טוב יבוא המלך והמן היום אל המשתה אשר עשיתי לו ויאמר המלך מרו את המן לעשות את דבר אסתר ויבוא המלך והמן אל המשתה אשר עשתה אסתר ויאמר המלך לאסתר במשתה היין מה שאלתך ויינתן לך ומה בקשתך עד חצי המלכות ותעש ותען אסתר ותאמר שאלתי ובקשתי אם מצאתי חן בעיני המלך ואם על המלך טוב לתת את שאלתי ולעשות את בקשתי יבוא המלך והמן אל המשתה אשר אעשה להם ומחר אעשה כדבר המלך ויצא המן ביום ההוא שמח וטוב לב וחירות המן את מרדכי בשער המלך ולא קם ולא זע ממנו וימלא המן על מרדכי חימה ויתאפק המן ויבוא אל ביתו וישלח ויבא את אוהביו ואת זרש אשתו ויספר להם המן את כבוד ראשו ורוב בניו ואת כל אשר גידלו המלך ואת אשר נישאו על השרים ועבדי המלך ויאמר המן אף לא הביאה אסתר המלכה עם המלך אל המשתה אשר עשה תקים אותי וגם למחר אני קראו לה עם המלך וכל זה איננו שווה לי בכל עת אשר אני רואה את מרדכי היהודי יושב בשער המלך ותאמר לו זרש אשתו וכל הרב יעשו עץ גבוה 50 אמה ובבוקר אמור למלך היהודי אסתר ותעמוד לפני המלך ותאמר אם על המלך טוב ואם מצאתי וקיבלו היהודים עליהם ועל זרם ועל כל הנלווים עליהם ולא יעבור להיות עושים את שני הימים האלה ככתבם וכזמנם בכל שנה ושנה והימים האלה נזכרים ונעשים בכל דור ודור משפחה ומשפחה מדינה ומדינה ועיר ועיר וימי הפורים האלה לא יעברו מתוך היהודים וזכרם לא יסוף מזרעם. ותכתוב אסתר המלכה בת אביחיל ומרדכי היהודי את כל תוקף לקיים את איגרת הפורים הזאת.
All right. So,
Why did they sing it?
just, it flows easier.
I would disagree.
It takes 39 minutes to sing or read the book of Esther. So at Purim, you sit and you listen for 39 minutes as the whole book is read. It has to be from a scroll. It has to be done by a cantor. And that's the first practice. That's the first mitzvah of Purim. So that's dedication.
That looked a lot like Black Dogs to me.
So I think on Sunday our elders, when they read, should start singing. I want to hear Doug and Danny and the boys, that cantory. And you'll notice the stick with the finger on it, because that way you don't miss a word. You don't. And you track along. And then when it's being read, every time the word Haman comes along, you boo. Ooh. And you heard him once in a while. You might have listened and heard the word Haman or Esther or Mordecai. And then when Mordecai comes on, you hey! And then when like the horses, you whinny. So it's an interactive element, part of the story. You do it. But that's the first critical mitzvah of this entire holiday. So while it is a big dancing in the street holiday, it has a very significant Torah portion being read during. So you and your family would do that, or at your party, before you start to party, you read the entire story of Esther. So that's called the Megillah. So there are 4 mitzvahs here in the Megillah: giving food to the needy, sending food, gifts to friends, and food. And so Donna tonight has made for us.
Well, it is said that Queen Esther was fond of poppy seeds, so that is poppy seed cookies and then poppy seed buttons.
So send a representative from your table and help yourself.
Everybody should just go get it, because I didn't put plates out.
Okay, just go get yourself some, and we'll listen to some more Esther.
Oh, really?
Megillah, using the little red book. The Megillah is on page 86, okay? And the brachot are on the page 85.
So you notice the little boy in the background's got a costume on?
ויהי בימי אחשוורוש ואחשוורוש המולך מאודו והכושבע ו20 מדינה בימים ההם כשבט המלך אחשוורוש על כיסא מלכותו אשר בשושן הבירה בשנת 3 למוחו עשה משתה לכל שריו ועל הדחל הרס ומדי הפרטלים ושרי המדינות לפניו והראותו את עושר כבוד מלכותו ואת יקר תפארת גדולתו ימים רבים שמונים ומעט יום ובמלאת הימים האלה עשה מלך לכל העם הנמצאים בשושן הבירה למגדול ועד קטן משתי 7 ימים בחצר גינת ביתן המלך אור כרפס ותכלת אחוז בחבלבוס וארגמן על גידי לכסף ועמוד 6 מיטות זהב וכסף על רצפת בהד ושש ובר וסוחר והשקול בכלי זהב וכלים מכלים שונים ואין מלכות רב כיד המלך והשטיח על בטן אונס כיכן יסד המלך על כל רב ביתו לעשות חיצון איש ואיש גם ושתי המלכה עשתה משתי נשים בית המלכות אשר למלך אחשוורוש ביום השביעי כטוב לב המלך ביין אמר במקומה על
So, there are some special prayers along to go with it. Just a few things. Work is prohibited on the Shabbat. It is possible on Purim, so you're allowed to work this holiday. You got to ritually wash your hands before the meal, although there's no official Kiddush over the wine at the start of the meal. Normally there was a Kiddush, a prayer. Blessed are you, O Lord God, who produces. There's no special Kiddush for this holiday season. And one of the foods that people eat is called a kreplach, which is one of those meat-filled dumplings swimming in chicken soup. If you notice on the bottom corner of your picture, that pretty much is every major Jewish holiday. They tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat.
Better luck next time.
Yeah, in particular Purim. That's, if you could sum up this holiday, they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat.
They're still saying that. Saying that.
Stuck in your head. What I want to end with as you eat is, Purim has shifted a little bit in tone in the last decade or a few years to a celebration of the survival of Israel. Because that's what it is. It's the story of survival of Israel through the providence of God, where God was not present. God is not in the book. That's intentional. This idea that God is beneath the surface, not being seen or not being explicitly revealed, but always at work in the story. And that's a great line for such a time as this, Mordecai says to Esther. So I just want to focus as we wrap up on the last 2 pages. And that is, the story of Israel and the story of the Jewish people is the story of an attempted destruction. People have tried to destroy the Jews since the very beginning. And it's small print, but this is a partial list of the pogrom. The word pogrom means devastation, like a storm. But throughout the centuries, across the world, and continuing today, people have tried to kill the Jews. And I'm just going to go through some of them while you eat. Let me talk about this. So as far back as 63 BC, Pompey, the Roman emperor, had 12,000 Jews killed. He was furious with them. In 38 AD, in Alexandria, in northern Egypt, it was called the Alexandrian Pogrom. No one knows how many were killed. By 63, the Alexandrian riots, it's estimated that 50,000 were killed. In 132 to 135, what's called the crushing of the Bar Kokhba revolt, according to Cassius Dio, 580,000 Jews were killed. As far back as 610 to 620 in Spain, or at that time Hispania, Spain had banned all the Jews from living in Spain. 1066, the Granada Massacre, 4,000. Then there was pogroms in Rhineland, 2,000. In 1113, the Kiev pogrom, no one knows. In 1232, the forced mass conversion in Marrakesh, where 1,000 Moroccan Jews resisted and were killed. 1243, the first ever accusation of what's called the host desecration. The entire Jewish population of Belitz was burned at the stake after being accused of torturing Jesus. And on it goes. 1267, after the accusation of an old woman that Jews had bought a Christian child from her to kill, the entire Jewish community of Porazim faced massacre and expulsions. 1288, and on it goes. Strasbourg, the 1391 massacre, the Lisbon pogrom, the Polesti, and on and on. And it keeps growing. Damascus affair, the first of the Russian czars. By the time we get to 1903 to 1906, the anti-Jewish pogrom in Russia, 2,000 plus, no one knows, but 64 towns were burned to the ground. Then we get a series of Russian pogroms during that season. And finally, by the Russian Revolution, no one knows. The estimates are between 70,000 and 250,000 Jews were killed. But they do know, because the Russian government kept record, there were 300,000 orphans that had to be looked after by the Russian state or the communists at that time. And then the Lemberg massacre, on and on. 1918 to 1921, there were about 1,100 pogroms. Estimated 100,000 were killed. Hebron, 1929, November. The Isya pogrom, 13,000 were killed. Farland, and then finally, interesting, the Holocaust, 6 million. And that's where the pogroms really end, the big number. The one in 1945, in the Krakow, 1 Jew was killed. And then by 46, there's a few, but if you look at the numbers, it really start to decline. 4 to 38, 42. And the last known pogrom up until recently in Amsterdam was the 1991 Crown Heights pogrom, where 1 Jew and 1 non-Jew was killed. And of course, what's happened in Amsterdam recently, the riots, and the attack, that's not a pogrom, that's an attack. On the second page, you'll see a map of Central Europe, from Black Sea to the Baltic Sea. This is the number of pogroms between 1800 and 1928. If there's a small circle, it's 1, a large circle, 2 to 5, and then 6 to 11. But you can see all across Central Europe, pogroms occurred. The Russians hated the Jews. The history of their story, and that What's interesting is if you go back to, where is it here? In the 30s, you'll see Kristallnacht, but if you go back to 1918 to 1921, there's a series of pogroms with, the estimates are over 100,000. That mentality leads up to the foundation of the Holocaust, this anti-Jewish sentiment that spreads throughout Europe. So we think 6 million is an unimaginable number, but the 100,000 was. These aren't statistics. Joseph Stalin made a remarkable statement. He said, a single death is a tragedy, a million death is a statistic. When you start looking at it, it looks like statistics, but every one of those was a travesty. The fact that 300,000 Jewish children were left as orphans.
But it's incomprehensible, like you can't wrap your mind around it.
You cannot. Yeah, you can think of a tree in your backyard, but you can't think of a forest of 1 million trees. Yeah, even like the human mind, can you think of it? I can imagine 10 eggs in a carton, or 12, right? But can I imagine 1,000 eggs in my mind's eye? I think there's a point where the brain cannot visualize or comprehend. But, these numbers are beyond comprehension. This anti-Jewish sentiment, which is called anti-Semitism, a Semite is a Jew, continues on today, and over the last few years, since 2023, there has been a rise of anti-Semitism globally. This is from B'nai B'rith. The number of anti-Semitic incidents reached a record high in 2023, says B'nai B'rith. This is from the CBC. In the latest annual audit, B'nai B'rith Canada reports the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the country has doubled from 22 to 23, and has now reached a record high. B'nai B'rith, so on, January 1st, 23 to December 31st, logged 5,791 incidents of anti-Semitism, surpassing the 2021 roll of 2,779. So in Canada, in the last 4 years, anti-Semitic actions, a variety that would be recognized as such, have doubled. The U.S. reports the same thing. The Anti-Defamation League found the number of anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. increased by 35% from 2,000 to 3,000 in 2022. Canada is actually more anti-Semitic than the U.S. Surprising, considering the population of the U.S. is 10 times our population, right? So for 38 million Canadians, we had almost 6,000 incidents. The U.S. with 380 million had 30,697.
Per capita, we're more racist.
Yes, yeah, purely. But 10 times more racist.
Well, we have more Mennonites.
Yes.
Which Mennonites are good racists.
Well, which should be a sympathetic, right? The Mennonites should be sympathetic, seeing as they were burned at the stake.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is ironic because they were a persecuted people. Yeah.
But it was whites by whites, and that's a different story.
Right, yeah. So what I want you to see is the story of Esther is the story of a people who survived all of this. Generation after generation, country after country, from the earliest one recorded was 63, all the way up until today, Satan has willfully and wantonly killed the Jews. And so they say, they tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. That's Purim for you. All right, enjoy your snack, and we'll see you next week.
And don't forget to come help